Welcome to Poker Buzz, live from the Hive. This is Sula, and today we have a very well-known character, both on and off the felt, who I believe is a true gentleman in the sport. He has graced many poker tables in the last 12 months and has also been victorious in every series championships that he has participated in. Who better than to elaborate more to us all than the man himself? Welcome, Mr. Mike Maddocks. Hey,
Hey,
Mike.
Sheila. How's it
How you
going? How are
going?
you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. How are you?
I just activated my Siri again. This is the second time this has happened talking to you.
Siri Sula, like hello.
I know, I know. No, it's good. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be here. I know we've been trying to do this for a little while, so it's good to finally catch up and get to chat with you.
Yeah, true. So let's go back, Mike, just over a week ago, where you added another trophy, some more stats to Hendon Mob, had an epic 6-hour heads up with one of the OGs himself, Mr. Graham Putt. But most importantly, from where I was sitting and watching this all unfold, excuse the pun, but I feel you made new friends and your positive energy just seemed to reach so many both on and off the felt. What was the most standout for you, Mike, in that event that you walked away with as opposed to some of your other many wins? Anything different?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're all unique and they're all different, and there's so many different caveats that make this one so special to me. Um, Townsville, in particular, is a very unique destination that you don't get to experience very often. I mean, I guess the closest thing is Gold Coast, where you can go and enjoy, but it's still not nearly as much of a holiday. Whereas at the Ville, you have the amazing opportunity to just go swimming, and we were able to bring so many people with us this time and kind of share this experience. The last time I was in Townsville was in February, and I had really just come onto the poker scene in January. So I didn't really know anybody. And I remember doing an interview, I think, with Gigi Fab at the time, and she was kind of talking about the final table of the super high roller and how everybody knew each other. And I was kind of the odd person out. So it's good that you mentioned, making new friends. And it's been a wild ride. We're October, so 10 months into my poker journey here in Australia. And I've got an amazing community that I never thought I could get. So to be surrounded by all the community, by my partner Christine, we had maybe 6 or 7 of the girlfriends came up and enjoyed that trip with us as well. So we had that addition to the community. It all kind of made it pretty special. And then on top of that, this was actually my first No Limit Hold'em trophy this year as well. So I've got a few, but they were all from Pot Limit Omaha or Omaha High Low events. So I've had a third and a second and some majors, but no wins in the No Limit Hold'em. So it was amazing to take this win out and to do it against a Hall of Famer for 6.5 hours in a grueling heads up match. I mean, Graham Putt is just, he's an idol and an icon in this industry, and the ability to get to play with him, not just in multiple tournaments, but heads up. And I mean, if you guys watch the stream or you get to hear all his stories. And I didn't want to kind of pull the thread on him too much and experience too much of the stories that he had to share. But man, he's lived a wild life. And I just think that anybody who has the opportunity to get to know him a little bit and hear those stories, it was mind blowing. And that's probably why it was so easy to play him for 6.5 hours, because it was just an enjoyable experience the whole time. And when are you ever going to get the chance to play a Hall of Famer like that heads up for a major title here? It was just so cool.
True. I am fortunate enough to know Graham off the felt as a friend. And I agree wholeheartedly. I've sat with him and Mel Judah because they are very good friends. And oh my God, Mike, the stories. I'm like a little child. You know, when you sit with your grandparents and they tell you about, all the olden days and the war times, etc. This is like exactly the same in the poker. And
Yeah.
when they tell you all these stories, what they've done in Vegas and then in Europe and all the tournaments, both on and off the felt, what they get up to is is just phenomenal. But they are really true gentlemen. They are icons of the game and proud Australians. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have them as ambassadors
Yeah.
in the game, doing all that they do for us and forging the way, because poker back then wasn't easy. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember when I first started 20 years ago, poker wasn't easy to access, even in casinos, and we played limit back then. I can only imagine 50 years ago what poker was
Yeah.
like. So, yeah,
Yeah.
true gentlemen. It's great to experience that.
Agree. So again, congratulations for probably the 10th time, but I'm winning the Sportsbet 3000. So a field of 59 entrants, taking home your 54K, another great achievement. But let's just briefly chat about the heads up. I was watching you before we go into this, but one thing now with Graham, as you mentioned, I love when he turned around and he said to you, "Hey kid, I'm 74. I've got 74 to the 34. So I've got so many years." I thought that
Yeah.
was so cute when he said it. I cracked up myself. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. But the chip stacks, they would get closer and then they'd get away. Then it was more like a tennis match. You had the chip lead, and then Graham came in and he started to get the momentum, but then he lost it again, came back to you. So it was back and forward. Then I started to crack up a little bit because then the scotch started flowing, and that was fun to watch. But I have to ask, at some point did you actually drop your guard in any way, Mike, with all those drooling hours in that heads up? And has that been the longest heads up you've had in your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, by far, that's the longest heads up that I've ever faced, by probably at least double. I mean, usually the tournament is over by then, and you're just short on blinds. But I think based on the structure that we had, and based on some early eliminations when we were three-handed and four-handed and things like that, it allowed us to play quite deep. I think we started with I had 100 big blinds to Graham's 20 big blinds when we first started heads up. So we were kind of battling back and forth, 5-1 chip lead, and it was, my strategy at the beginning was just to lean on him. I know he's a little bit on the tighter side, so I wanted to apply pressure and just kind of grind him down to maybe around 10 big blinds, and then I could take a shot at him. Doesn't matter with what, if I'm 40%, as long as I get it in and take a shot, and I'll grind him down in between. And he found two double ups early against me to kind of not necessarily even the chip stacks, but get him fairly close. And then he went on a heater. We had about maybe half an hour, 40 minutes before the break. And there was one level that he just went on a crazy heater, and didn't matter what I had. He just had better top pair, something like that. And it was very difficult to navigate that, because you've been playing for maybe 3 hours already, and you have to flip the switch and just give up constantly and say you're going to make it through and it's fine and you've got enough of a chip stack left. And I think there was about 5 minutes left before the break, and I needed the break, and I said it out loud. I need this break, because my mindset was even wavering a little bit at that point. It's hard when you keep getting battered constantly. And I would raise pre-flop and he would call, and then I'd see bet the flop with one pair or nothing, and he'd call, and then I'd bet the turn expecting him to let go of some of his, minor holdings, but he kept calling because he always had something, and I was just giving away so many chips, and it just happened for far too long. But luckily, we got the break. I spoke to Mina right away, and he just told me that, you got this, just reset, refocus. And then I spoke to my girlfriend, Christine, for a little bit, and she asked me to, re-implement a new strategy and the things that she hears me talk about with my clients all the time. And so I did that, and I had 20 big blinds to his, I think, maybe 60 or 70 big blinds. So he was 4-1 chip lead on me, and it just became the grind back again. And that's why it took so long. Was I was able to kind of win all the small pots. I knew his heater would die at some point, and then I would just continue to win small pots. And I got lucky winning a flip, I think, with ace-5 against his king-queen. And once I got the chip stacks back to even, I felt like I was in control again, and I could grind it down, and managed to find a spot where I got kings against his tens. And I mean, that's just always going to get it in. So luckily,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we did. We held, and that was it. And that was the tournament was over.
Speaking of the Kings, I've got the photo here. Look at that.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
nice to seal
getting,
it that way.
I know, right? Like getting your Kings and then hitting a King, like getting set, and then like, hello, full house. Like, that's
Yeah.
awesome. What a
It's one of
way.
those spots you don't even really realize that you're hitting a set of kings because you're just avoiding all tens, and that's the only thing you want to avoid is a 10. And you get a king, and you're like, "Oh, I got a set. That's cool."
And
So,
then it just got bigger and better.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I'll just show a quick photo of you. Look at that. How proud.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. It was such a good event to win, and
Yeah.
I had set my mindset specifically on this tournament prior to coming in because I had a plan. I knew that I was running a masterclass on the Wednesday. I knew that that would be tight for the schedule. We had to make sure that the masterclass would finish because I knew the final table for the 3K was going to be there right after. And so it was literally finish the mindset masterclass and go straight into the final table. And I had been planning on doing that in a 3-day event 3 weeks before the series even started. And so to go into the final six with a moderate chip stack, and then to win it after having put on the masterclass, it was just like the story was written, and it was great that I could just pull it through. So I was really, really happy on the title and the victory this time.
Yeah, no, it was great to watch, let me tell you. You had us all on the edge of the seats, I can tell you, with a few laughs along the way between the two of you. So, Mike, just off the Ville now for a bit, moving further along and into the future with your career, with the poker career, is there any particular events that stand out for you across the globe that you have insight for yourself to tackle?
Yeah. I mean, if we ever get an Aussie Millions back,
Yeah,
that's first on my list because I
yeah.
spent 7 years living in Melbourne and I wasn't playing much poker. And so I always wanted to, but every single January would come around and I would have to, I was working an international sales job at the time, and I'd have to go back to Cleveland, Ohio in the US every January for our meetings. And so I missed the Aussie Millions every single year that I was living in Melbourne, and it was excruciating. So now that,
Frustrating.
yeah, it was crazy. And so now that I'm here, I guess, and I'm fully committed to poker and to my business, I have the opportunity to play pretty much anything that I choose. And so if the Aussie Millions comes back, that's by far number one. I guess we'll see what kind of big series are coming in the future on the Australian soil. I know there's some talk of some big series being opened up, which would be amazing.
Mhm.
But also, the World Series main event, that's the second biggest thing on my list. I won't be going this year. Um, got a bit too much to do on the business side, but certainly next year that's in the calendar. And I actually won a seat when I was 19. So that would have been 2006, I guess. 2000 and geez, I can't even count. 2005.
Right.
Um, I won a seat into the main event through Full Tilt Poker, and being the 19-year-old degenerate that I was, I took the money that they gave me straight into the 10-20 game, and I lost it. So I I had a seat. I did not. Oh no, I would have been 21 actually because I couldn't have won the seat at
Because you
19.
kind of,
So.
yeah,
hmm So yeah,
because of the
it's
horse.
it's kind of like something that I want to go and conquer and play. And I think right now I feel like I'm at the top of my game from a lot of the work that I've put in off the felt. So that would be a great opportunity to go and play that.
That'd be awesome. I mean, I've been a spectator at many WSOPs and I've played some of the side events, but yeah, to play that main event would just be the bomb.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just to be there, I think at the World Series would be incredible. You play
Oh,
the
it's,
Colossus, or you play the Millionaire Maker.
yeah.
Tournaments that are well within buying range for a lot of people, and you get the experience of the WSOP, and yeah, that would be amazing.
Just walking the halls of the Rio and, going into opening the big doors into each of the different tournaments is just, yeah, it's a feeling like no other. But
Hmm.
hopefully we'll get there again soon.
Yeah.
Um, so, Mike, off poker for a minute, because you're not just all about the poker. Um, you've got a successful career, as we've established, in your poker, but you've also got a very successful mindset coaching business, Maddocks Mindset Coaching. So could you just elaborate a little bit more on what the sessions entail for someone who would like to join your program?
Mhm. Yeah, so my sessions are really tailored to the individual. So we spend a bit of time getting to know each other at the beginning to figure out what it is that that person needs. I've always thought that I was really good at seeing exactly where someone was and seeing the journey that's in front of them, but knowing that we're not trying to get here right away, that we're just trying to get to that very next step for them. And so recognizing what that next step is and just helping them kind of recognize it for themselves and pushing them there. And that can be poker coaching, which is straight like, here's where you're at with poker and let's get you to that next phase. Or it's life coaching. And a lot of my poker coaching clients end up doing a bit of a mixture between the two, or inadvertently. Like they don't come for life coaching. I don't think too many people just sign up for life coaching. But it's such an important part of success on the felt is the work that people do off the felt to get, whether it's your family issues kind of resolved or your own personal issues or your financial issues kind of tied with the bow on it, so that when you hit the tables, you are, zen and you're focused and you're clear of mind and there's no distractions outside, and you've got purpose and you're driven and you've got reasons and beliefs as to why you want to deal through the adversity that you might face during a tournament. So it becomes this whole kind of package that somebody needs to have all the different areas and facets sewn up, and then we can start moving through the levels with that person. And it's been incredibly successful so far. I've been trained in NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, and also in hypnosis. And so I use those two with my clients so that they can, whether it's take a hypnosis with them before a tournament starts, so they can kind of calm their mind and really get zoned in on the goals and expectations that they have for that tournament.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just been really empowering for a lot of the clients that have signed up, and so much that word of mouth creeped up, and a couple series later, I guess, and I'm on a wait list now with my clients. So I have to actually kind of push the go button on the next phase, which is bringing on other coaches. And I've been talking to some people that run in our circles who are interested in jumping on board and getting skilled up in facets like NLP as well, so that they can give their skill set not just on the poker felt but also off the felt too. And we're going to build kind of an army so we can help more people, not just whatever my bandwidth is on a given week.
That's fantastic. And it's like that thing that they always say, is to find that right balance for each individual in their life and what works for them, so to speak, because we're all different, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. But I heard you did run a masterclass, as you mentioned too, in Townsville, but with some great successes. So would you like to enlighten us with the successes?
Yeah, it was really cool to have that opportunity. This was my first masterclass, so I put quite a bit of effort into developing the presentation and figuring out how I wanted to deliver the thoughts. I knew the messages that I was trying to convey to people, but I kind of took them on a journey, if so to speak, where I wanted to force their thought pattern in a particular way so that normal human tendencies come into play, whether that's talking about imposter syndrome that we all experience at the table, or whether that's talking about why we set our goals far too low all the time and they're just achievable goals and we're not reaching for the stars. And so I forced them down this path of where they actually thought these thoughts, and then I prove to them using science why it's not enough and why they need to challenge their own belief patterns. And in doing so, I caused a lot of disruption and the ability for them to set much higher goals and then have a belief that they can hit those higher goals. And whether it was straight luck or whether it was part of the masterclass, we had some good success. Two of the clients or the attendees of the masterclass immediately went on to final table the 6 max the next day. one of the gentlemen, Mickey, his goal was to make his first final table of all the series that he's been to, and starting to travel the tour a little bit. And we actually reset his goal to be 3 final tables in the series, and he hadn't made one yet.
Nice.
And then he goes and makes the first one, which was really cool. And then we had Matthew Parker had not the same goals, had his own set of goals, but got clear and focused on what he wanted to do. And he also was able to make that final table as well. So it was just immediate success from both of them. And the thing was, we dealt a lot on how to deal with adversity, similar to how I struggled in that heads-up match against Graham Putt. And I taught the masterclass a logical step-by-step process as to how to deal with adversity and how to turn it from emotion into logic. And so both Matt Parker and Mickey came up to me separately during that tournament and said they shared with me that they opened the workbook again and they went back to that page after they had a problem, or they lost a big flip, or they had a big bad beat, and they were able to refocus their intentions and continue to battle on. And they attributed some of the success, at least, that they had to that moment and to that re-envisioning of how they wanted to navigate the tournament. So that was really cool, not just to see that they had success, but to see that you can have an impact on somebody that might be long lasting, and we don't know how much more that's going to stay with them, but at least for the one tournament, guaranteed. So yeah, it's just awesome to be able to touch people in whatever way that you can. And I think that's what life is all about at the end of the day.
You should be very proud. Good on you. Well done.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
I heard you did well with Janet Wyville as well.
Yeah, Janet, she was one of my earlier students.
Yeah.
So we've been working together for maybe a few months now. I've only just started officially coaching people as of June this year, full time. So to have the amount of success that some of my clients are having already is great. And Janet is a perfect example. I don't know what her Hendon Mob was beforehand, but it was probably just less than 10,000 overall lifetime earnings. And between APT and the Ville, the last 2 series, she's cashed over 20,000 just at those 2 series alone. And so, I mean, she's not shy to sing the praises of what the coaching has done for her. And it's amazing. She's been great to work with. And she's actually running J-Dub Poker Coaching.
Yes,
so for her to help me in, I guess she returned the favor by forcing my hand a little bit and saying, I want you to run a masterclass. And I never would have run that had it had not been for Janet. So I really appreciated her putting me in the bin a bit, so to speak, and giving me a deadline. And I got this great output now that I can use moving forward. So yeah, it's been great to work with Janet, and it's not just a one-way street. It's not just her success, but she's creating my success as well. So that's cool.
And the results speak for themselves, as they say.
Yeah. I mean, she just got 3rd place in the Big Bucks, which she sponsored that event.
Yeah.
And that cashed for quite a bit of coin. I think I can't remember how much it was, 19,000 or something like that, or maybe it was 13,000, 14,000. A ton of money for sure.
Yeah.
So especially for somebody who was looking at min cashing a lot of the time as their standard play. Now we're top 5, top 3, and really kind of learning how to get the chip stack towards getting the win. So it's an exciting journey when you start breaking through at the final tables.
Yeah, that feeling of just, like you say, making that final is just, I've done it, I'm here.
Yeah.
But also if anyone's interested, I will put the link in the description so you can get in touch with my people. If anyone's interested in the mindset coaching, which I believe would be a positive, no way in any way a negative. Might even look into it myself, Mike.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to give you a shout out too about your commentating.
Okay.
The commentating was just awesome. Every time you came on, I'd be doing something. I mean, obviously speaking for myself, but as soon as you'd hear you, it was just like, oh, I have to sit and listen. It's just, Is that a new career? Could we add that to your resume as well? You
I
do a
don't know if
great
it's going to
job.
be. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's fun, right? I definitely enjoy
Yeah,
it. It makes it's easy when you jump in the booth with someone like Tom. I mean,
yeah.
he just sets everything up like as much as you can just have a lob, so you can just hit a home run every time. Like he's a great broadcaster, commentator, all of that stuff together. So it's nice. I enjoy commentating. It's not something that I'm pursuing, but
Yeah,
when they need help, when I can jump in the booth, I mean, it's fun. And to be able to go in and I think I commentated on two major events for brief periods of time, whether it was the big bucks or whether it was the main event, and to be able to commentate specifically on the main event to bring home Mina and Lee
yeah,
to victory, two of my very close friends. I mean, that's just you can't ask for much more than that to be able to sing their praises, and I enjoyed it a lot. So it's a couple, maybe the third series I've done commentary for, but it's just something that I'll jump in the booth when asked if I have some free time because it's fun.
yeah. Do you think that you get some advantages and disadvantages of being able to do that as a player when you do the commentating?
I mean, I get advantages in the fact that I can
Yes.
promote stuff like my brand.
But on the players themselves, do you sort of like pick up any tales as such? Or you
No, I
just,
mean, I think when you're commentating, you're really focused on the action and
yeah,
delivering the information to the audience at home. So you're trying to make sense of what is just graphics and then regurgitating that out for the audience to make it understandable and then trying to create and provide some insight as to why players are doing what they might do and what might be some of the better strategies sometimes. Um, so I don't know if you're necessarily picking up too much when you're sitting at home and when you're dedicated to just watching the stream.
yeah,
That is far more advantageous in picking up tells on your opponents.
yeah,
I know specifically when I was prepping for the final table of the Sportsbet 3000, I had, I think we were down to six left. And it was 1:30 in the morning before the masterclass. And I finally had got myself some time where I was in bed and I just scrolled through the footage for 45 minutes to try to see what all my opponents looked like when they had big hands and et cetera, et cetera. So I went through and
yeah.
studied my opponents and I was able to pick up some information, whether that goes into your subconscious to make an educated decision when you're at the table. It's not just, oh my God, they put their hands on their head like this and therefore they have
And it
aces.
means
It's
this,
never that
yeah.
simple,
No, I
or
wish.
like, eats Oreos or has an eye twitch. It's just not that simple, right? But you can
Yeah,
kind of pick up on some energy if you can. And that's the way that I always try to explain it is you try to tap into someone's energy rather than trying to find a facial expression tick that they have. And if you do that, if you practice tuning into energy, you can actually pick up a lot more than you think. So that's one of the
that makes a
secrets.
lot of sense. Yeah, a
Mhm.
lot of sense. So, Mike, before we go, what have you got in the near future? What are you looking at playing um, within here, like Brisbane, Gold Coast? I know the summer series is coming up as well down at the Star Poker. Um,
Yeah. Summer
yeah,
series is next on the list for me.
yes,
As soon as they
end of
sent the teaser
November.
dates out, yeah,
Yeah.
I went ahead and booked a mansion down within walking distance. So I didn't care what series or what event it was going to be. I knew that a poker event was going to be on. So get yourself the house. I'll fill it later with people, close people, probably like Lee and Mina, and that'll be a great house. So
Definitely
that,
a great house.
yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can share it with good friends who are also, sick poker players,
Yeah,
there's not much more you can ask for than that. So I will play that, and then
yeah.
the APT released their dates for early, I guess late January,
January.
January 17th
Yes,
to
yeah, that's right, in
23rd.
January. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be the start of the new season. Obviously, we'll be there. Very excited to go play a new season of APT. This will be a full refresh because APT is where I got my start, my very first series originally last January. So that'll mark one full year. And I mean, there's just tons of events and tons of series. It's summer, so everything is coming on, and anything big, I will 100% be attending and playing. because that's where I think you get the purest form of poker, is when people start feeling the pressure of the buy-in in front of them. And, you know,
Yes.
sometimes you get that with the $200 buy-ins because that's a big buy-in for people. We've all been there. But you get more of a percentage of people in the field feeling the pressure in a 2.5K or a 3K buy-in. So that's where you can play pure poker.
Oh, I've seen it too from behind the scenes. It's so different watching exactly what you say, from that $200 to the $600 buy-in. And then when you go upscale to that 2000 plus, just the dynamics just change in every aspect. And it's so good to watch. I've seen yourself as well, like down at the WPT with the international, down at the goal. It just changes. Even with Mina and a couple of the others, they just change. And it's just so nice to watch. Exactly what you say, the purest form of poker. It's just fantastic. Yeah, to be a part of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that series, I mean, we were so spoiled to have that series, to have all the borders open.
I know.
Melbourne, Sydney could attend. The prize pools were phenomenal. I mean, that was when do you ever get to play a $1,500 buy-in event and play for $250,000?
Unheard of, right?
There's a reason why
Insane.
my earnings are so high this year. It's that one event. Like, that was a huge portion of it.
Yeah, fantastic. But Mike, on that note, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here. And I'm sure this is, like you say, it's only the beginning of so much more in not only your poker career, but in everything that you do. One last thing I would like to say to you would be that, and I'm sure many would agree with me, is that you are a great ambassador for the game. And I personally thank you for that. So yeah, but I wish you all the very, no, my pleasure, Mike. But I wish you all the very best, and hope to see you on the felt soon, which we have crossed paths many times. And yeah, I thank everyone for watching, and make sure I'll drop the link in for Mike's mindset coaching in the description, and please get in touch with him, whether it be for the life coaching, poker coaching, or bringing it together for an overall experience. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great. No, thanks, Sula. It's always good to jump in and, you know, to spend a bit of time with you. This was a good experience. I haven't had a podcast with you yet, so it was nice to see you in this light as well. So yeah, no, thanks for that, and the kind words. It actually means a lot to me to come in and just play the game that I love, and to be able to affect a lot of people along the way. And I'm just being me. So it's pretty cool.
You keep doing you, Mike. You're doing well.
Amazing. Thanks, Sula.
Okay.
And for those links, I'll just shout out those links for you as well.
Sure.
On Facebook, it's Maddocks Mindset. So very easy to find. Instagram is mike.mdx. And then you can find my coaching on my website, which is maddoxmindset.com.
And we'll have all those. I'll put them in the description for everybody as well, Mike.
Perfect.
No dramas.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. See you soon. This is Sula live from the Hive. Take care.